I've been watching through just all of Star Wars basically with my son, and so we did the prequels and we did Solo, and we just finished a rewatch of Obi-Wan. And I don't remember your take on Obi-Wan. I feel like you're iffy on it. What is it?
I think no.
Okay.
I think I had a net negative on that one just because it was...
Gotcha. When it first came out, we watched it like on the weekly drops or whatever. This time, like over a weekend, we kind of just like binged it all. And it actually, I felt like it was a lot more satisfying and it felt a lot more cohesive. Just going boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
I like just booming right through it. And I wonder, like, had it been just its own movie, just like a 2.5 hour movie or something like that, if it might have gotten a better reception than it did. Because I think in general, people are kind of like lukewarm on it.
Well, you know what it was too? I think, I think maybe the whole it wasn't about Obi-Wan is maybe a legit complaint, but I think too that it felt like Ewan McGregor didn't know what he wanted Obi-Wan to be. Did he want him to be old and tired? Did he want him to be grumpy? Did he want him to have given up? Like, it was very weird to me where he's like, oh, I haven't used my powers in a long time. And it's just like, you think he hasn't used the Force at all? Like, I guess, did he really close in that much? Like,
it seems like he has like a block on it, really.
I guess, I mean, they talk about that in Darth Plagueis, right? When they...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that he's able to do. So it makes sense, right? It does make sense to do that. But it was just like, it was confusing to me that like his character felt more old and tired and grumpy than Obi-Wan did in A New Hope.
He's definitely grumpier. Yeah.
Yeah, he seemed a lot more positive.
Yeah, he did.
So it's like, it was weird to me to kind of have that. He was very depressed and very, and so I don't know, because I guess he's kind of middle-aged at that point, right? He's probably in his 40s.
He's dealing with the failure, of just like everything that he worked for, just like everything, just the Jedi have failed. There's nothing to it. Yeah. I guess I appreciated sort of the merging of the Anakin from the prequels and the Darth Vader from the originals. Like, I thought they did a decent job, because that's always hard for me to accept that is the same character, the same person, because they just act so differently.
They do.
So I thought the way that Obi-Wan kind of used Hayden Christensen's voice sometimes as Vader, and when you kind of see the mask broken and you kind of are seeing both, I thought that kind of closed a loop that needed closing. But all that to say, I think a binge watch, if you're ever going to watch it again, I do feel like a binge watch is the way to go, because it slides a lot easier. Everything just kind of happens, and it feels a little bit more cohesive than it did maybe on a weekly drop.
Yeah, I think you're right with the whole movie length as well. Like, I think Skeleton Crew would have been a lot better as like a movie.
Oh, I agree. Yeah,
as opposed to a television show. You get that like crescendo and decrescendo kind of thing, and you're just up and down, and it just doesn't work. When it's a show, you're having to wait a whole week because you kind of lose. I mean, those episodes, some of those episodes were like 22 minutes long. I think the shortest was like 20. So it's just like, you forget what happened in the last episode because it was so short.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
And it's so serialized. It's so serialized. There's nothing episodic about either Obi-Wan or Skeleton Crew. So they're really, I mean, they play much more like an old school like mini series, except the episodes are short. So I don't know.
Yeah. Welcome to This Endorian Life, a nostalgic Star Wars podcast from the Radio Meanwhile Network. My name is Steve Rudd.
I'm Nick Gunning, and we're following the Ewoks from Return of the Jedi to the TV movies, the 80s cartoons, the comics, and beyond.
Beyond, yeah. Today we are discussing the Ewoks' appearances in the series Star Wars Forces of Destiny. This series had its YouTube debut on July 3rd, 2017. Not too long ago.
Elderly men.
We were not
aging.
We were big boys.
That's
Bigger
right.
old men.
That's right. Yeah, this show would air, episodes would air on YouTube, and then it would air on Disney Plus a few days later. Did you ever come across these just in the wild?
I did a couple of them.
Yeah.
I found them on YouTube. That's where I found them.
Yep.
And I was just like, oh, what is this? And then it like ended, and I was like, oh, I'm not sure what that was about. Was
Yeah.
it like a
Real
trailer?
quick bites.
Like it confused
Quick
me.
bites.
Like, yeah, they're
Yeah.
just very quick. You know what it is? It's like they kind of followed the same thing that Clone Wars did, but even shorter. Even
That's
shorter.
right.
You know?
Yeah. Well, it was interesting to watch these right after we did those 2 episodes on the My Comics, which were these, mini things, because it's a very similar format. Anyway, the series ran for 2 seasons of episodes, and the Ewoks pop up in 4 of those episodes, including the season 1 episodes, Ewok Escape and Imperial Feast. Those were directed by Brad Rao and written by Jennifer Morrow, and 2 episodes of season 2, including Chopper and Friends and Traps and Tribulations, written by Nicole Debut. These were also adapted into books by Emma Carlson Byrne. I know there's like slim paperback versions of these. I listened to the audiobooks on Libby, and it was pretty fun.
Okay.
They put several of the stories together, as we'll talk about. Like, these kind of go one into each other. And so we kind of put all the like stories together. So it would be more like a 20-minute kind of feel for the novel. But it was good. And I listened to it on Libby, and I enjoyed it.
Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting, the different mediums too, like 2-minute episodes in a book form, and also adapting that to audiobook seems a little, it's just a lot. Seems like a lot for just 2-minute episodes. It'll really actually like a minute and a half.
Yeah, that's true. When you take out the end credits and everything.
Yeah.
So the main cast that we get in these episodes, D. Bradley Baker does the vocalizations for Wicket, and the Ewoks don't talk. We just get sort of like chirping, yub-nubby kind of words like we got in the movies. Not wiseacre Bugs Bunny kind of dialogue, and like we got in the at least that's what they were trying for, maybe not succeeding. We also have Shelby Young, who voices both Kneesa and Leia, and she's voiced Leia in a lot of other things that we've done, and usually I like her as Leia, but I didn't think it was a very strong Leia voice in this.
I agree. That stuck out to me right away. I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no. Leia's tough though.
It's true. We have some actors returning to their iconic roles here. So we have Vanessa Marshall is back as Hera, reprising her role from Rebels. We have Lupita Nyong'o as Maz Kanata, who sort of functions as a narrator. We just get like a little intro from her at the start of each episode. And we have Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker, which was pretty cool to have him back in that. And he did a nice job.
You recognize that right away, too.
Oh, yeah, that's true. There's no mistaking that. Our featured cast member today was a real standout in this. He is making his debut as Han Solo. Though you and I have heard his Han Solo before, because he voices him in a lot of the Lego stuff, the holidays specials, and that sort of thing. So we've heard his Han many times, but it is spot on.
Yeah, absolutely. It's good. At first, I was like, whoa, wait a minute. Is that actually Han? Like, is that Harrison Ford? And I was like, no. No, it's too young of a voice. Like, I've heard his voice. And it's like, he gets, not only is his voice right on, but he gets his inflection, the noises he makes. Like, he just,
tone, the phrasing. Yeah. They're all there.
Man. Yeah, very good.
So,
very talented.
If you've been listening to previously on X-Men, which just celebrated its 100th episode, woo! You might have heard him because he voices Gambit in X-Men 97, and it's a good Gambit voice as well. So, talented guy.
Does he have the draw, the Louisiana?
Oh yeah, he's got it.
Draw? Oh,
he has got it. Yeah,
that's impressive if he can do that, man.
Have you watched any of X-Men 97?
I have not.
Okay.
No.
Were you a fan of the 90s X-Men animated series?
Yeah, I did. I loved it.
Yeah,
I absolutely loved it. Yeah.
I did too.
And then anytime I was at an arcade, I was definitely playing the X-Men arcade.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. It was like, I could not get enough of all of that.
Even now, like anywhere I'm at that has like classic arcade games or something, if X-Men Arcade is there, I mean, I have to play it. It's so good.
X-Men, the Simpsons game, the Aerosmith CD gun, the gun game, and like Terminator. Okay. You remember this Aerosmith one?
No, I don't.
You don't remember that? You shoot CDs?
Oh, that's pretty cool.
It's awesome. Oh, it's good.
That's cool.
It's good.
All right. Well, let's get into these mini episodes.
Yeah, all right. We got 4 episodes. We got first season 1, episode 3, Ewok Escape. During Return of the Jedi, and just after Wicket and Leia meet for the first time, their trip to Bright Tree Village is interrupted by a pair of stormtroopers who've detained a pair of Ewoks. Thinking quickly, Wicket climbs a tree and lassos the troopers from up high with a vine. Nearly getting blasted, Wicket manages to subdue the troopers. Back in the village, Wicket gifts Leia her signature Ewok dress.
Yes, this is where I felt like the Leia voice was like, "Ooh, this was where it really stood out to me as being off."
Yeah, I think that whole episode, it felt off to me because that scene in Return of the Jedi is so iconic. And like,
Yeah.
if you go back and watch it, her attitude at the time is so different than her attitude in this, right? It
Yeah.
just doesn't match. But it almost seems like they're just friends.
Yeah.
You know, like just running,
Yeah.
frolicking through the woods, and then they happen upon stormtroopers detaining Ewoks.
I'm going to give her a pass because I do think that this actress, Shelby Young, I think she really does do a good Leia later on. So I think
Okay.
maybe just like cutting her teeth at this point, it doesn't quite have it.
Oh, that makes sense.
I'm pretty confident in saying that this is, I think, the weakest of the 4.
Really?
And maybe because it's just trying to sort of shoehorn something in where we don't really need it, I guess. Like it's just kind of a, I don't know. But I like that we have an Ewok trap. It feels very Return of the Jedi. And also the way Wicket just kind of like he and Leia are together and Wicket just like charges into danger was very reminiscent of how the Ewoks act in the cartoon.
Yeah.
So it was kind of getting some of that in there. I'm not sure how his body weight was enough to hoist those 2 stormtroopers in the first place.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Some questionable physics, I guess, but we'll let that go.
I'm glad they actually did reverse it though. Like when he came down and he was hanging there,
momentum.
and I was like, well, that'll never happen. And then he slowly starts to go back up, and I was like, okay, all right, good, good.
Yeah. Just momentum, I guess. That's
the
all it is.
The yo-yo. Yeah.
Did you like this one? What'd you think?
I thought it was pretty weak, but I thought it was a little stronger than another one because of the Ewok ingenuity, right? That like, this totally makes sense. Wicket's doing
it. Let's keep going.
Okay, and in season 1, episode 14, so there's 2 each season, the Imperial Feast. The Empire is defeated, and the rebels join the Ewoks in a celebratory feast. Han and Chewie joke about letting the Ewoks cook stormtroopers till Leia intervenes. Leia sends Han and Chewie to get snacks from Hera Syndulla, but at a cost. Han will have to admit the Ghost is superior to the Falcon. They get back to camp just before it's time to cook troopers, and the Ewoks pivot instead to eating the snacks. Leia knows how, quote, difficult it was for Han to get them.
Yes.
This one made me laugh the most.
Yes, I agree. Great Han voice. And I love Hera. I love all the Rebels characters. And so to see them kind of carry through to Return of the Jedi era, I thought was pretty cool. After I watched Obi-Wan this most recent time, I watched the Rebels episode with teenage Leia in it, just to kind of like bridge that gap. And I hadn't seen an episode of Rebels since you and I did the pilot for the anniversary episode.
Oh, wow!
And I just it's a great show. I just think it's such a strong Star Wars show.
So good.
And I hate that it always lives in the shadow of Clone Wars.
It totally did. Clone Wars went like 5 seasons too long.
Yeah.
Really did.
But people are so crazy for it, and then like Rebels is kind of like, oh right, and Rebels whatever, but like no, I think Rebels is great. So I really liked seeing Chopper and the Ghosts and Hera, and I really liked having them. It was kind of a nice full circle moment to see Hera like being part of the the rebellion and everything with Han on Endor. So I like this one quite a bit. What did you think?
I love this one too, and I thought it was very funny. How Han and Chewie were like joking that they'll let them. Should we? Should we
stop them?
Yeah,
I don't know. What do you think? I don't know.
you kind of wonder, like, that is like that's straight. I mean, they're not going to eat them. but the Ewoks were, you
The
know, but
Ewoks might, yeah.
what it does is it reinforces the fact that, like, yeah, remember the Ewoks were going to eat them in Return of the
Definitely.
Jedi. They were to be the main course in the feast. And people like forget about that. Like, oh,
Yeah.
like, no, the Ewoks were going to eat them straight up.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and then they
I like
decided to
when
befriend them instead.
yes, of course. Han stops him, and the Ewok nearest him just takes his little stick and just like raps on the stormtrooper's helmet, and he's like, "Rah!"
Yeah,
I thought that was
that was pretty good. Yeah,
that was pretty funny all around. Yep. All right, let's move into season 2.
All right, season 2, episode 9, Chopper and Friends. Chopper enlists the help of Kneesa and Tokat to crew the Ghost, much to the chagrin of Syndulla, in order to take out some remaining TIE fighters after the Battle of Endor. The Ewoks take to the guns and manage to blast a TIE fighter, causing the rest to scatter. Despite doing a great job, it really is time to take the Ewoks back home.
So this one has the distinction of being the first canonical appearance of Kneesa.
Oh,
Kneesa's officially in the canon now because of this
she
episode.
is.
So that's fun.
Yeah.
That's fun.
So for me, this one, I thought it was fun, but I thought this was the weakest.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough on that.
Because it was kind of like, oh, this happened. All right, well, time to go home.
Yeah.
And it's like,
that's
really?
true.
Like that was it?
Yeah.
Like, I just,
Yeah.
it felt, I don't know, maybe it was the fact that, like, you know, they're only a minute and a half, and this one really felt like it was shorter than 2 minutes because of that abrupt, like,
brief.
all right,
Yeah.
well, it's time to bring them home.
Yeah.
Instead of like, I mean, they couldn't have taken them all out. They couldn't have had like some funny thing where like they shot one and then it ran into the other one, and then like I don't know, like you know the like the slapsticky kind of stuff that we saw in the show where like, oh, Wicket didn't actually defeat, you know, the enemy guy. Wicket just tripped over, hit a tree, and then the tree fell on the guy, and it's like he didn't actually.
Those Ewoks.
Yeah, like stuff like that where they're like, yeah, oh, you Wicket, you're so brave. And it's like, but he didn't even do anything. And so like this, it was like they kind of missed that opportunity to have some sort of silly, funny thing for, you know, Syndulla to kind of be like, huh, all right, well, I'll take it, you know, rather than like, wow, good job. And I was like, really? Good job? They only shot one down. It was like 4 of them. Like, what's going on? You know, I don't know.
I can't push back on any of this. All I can say is that it just delighted me to see Kneesa and Chopper on the Ghost and having Kneesa like shooting at TIE fighters. I mean, you know, it's funny that this is the first, you know, like official appearance because it could not feel more fan fiction-y. But
that's true.
It was a fun 90 seconds. I don't, you know.
Yeah, it is pretty cool having Syndulla.
Yeah,
voice matches perfectly.
Oh, it's her. It's really her. It's like
that's why
voice.
it's like it. I think that's what's so joyful about watching these. About like you hear it and you're like, whoa. All right, and then we got episode 15 of season 2, Traps and Tribulations. After the Battle of Endor, Luke and Leia both agree the Ewoks were influential in their victory over the Empire. Suddenly, Wicket and Kneesa alert the Skywalkers that their traps need to be reset when suddenly the forest erupts with massive roaring and giant footsteps. It is none other than the mighty Gorax. Luke distracts the Gorax while Leia helps the Ewoks reset their trap, loosing a massive pendulum, successfully pushing the Gorax into the gorge below.
Yes. All right, so some fun stuff happens in here. It was cool to see the Gorax. The Gorax, you know, was created for Caravan of Courage, so like very tied to like early Ewok history and stuff. So to see like Luke and Leia fight a Gorax with Wicket and Kneesa, I mean, this whole podcast has been building to this moment. So, you know,
I know, right?
It's finally happened.
This is like the crossover. We were this is like the Jetsons Flintstones. It's
I know. I didn't dare pray for this moment, and here it is. So you got Mark Hamill back. So right there,
yeah.
I mean that's a pretty cool thing. I don't know how many episodes he shows up in, but it was cool to have him in this, and it was like kind of cool to have that version of Luke, you know, because that's kind of the last Luke you see until the sequels, which I don't want to talk about Luke in the sequels. So it was cool to see him here, and cool to see just a Luke and Leia story was fun. Yeah, I don't really have complaints about this one. I mean,
This
I
was
liked
my
it. I thought
favorite.
this was a lot of
Yeah.
fun. So
It was a little jarring, I gotta be honest, and I think this happens every time I hear Luke as a voice. I always think, huh, the Joker. And then I like get pulled back into Star Wars, but like I get ripped out and I'm like, that's the Joker, and then right back because he'll say something. Then I'm like, oh, it's the Joker.
Yeah.
So because he just, I mean, he was that's iconic. I mean, that's like Emmy-winning performance of that.
Oh,
voice,
for sure. You know what was interesting about this, because we just heard Mark Hamill's Luke Skywalker in Rebuild the Galaxy, but he was playing like old man Luke. I thought he actually did a pretty good job here of kind of tightening up his voice and sounding a little bit more like younger Luke Skywalker. You know, like he kind of, I think he like pitched it up a little higher. You know what I mean? So it was like, I don't know. I noticed that I
think
felt
he
like
did that.
it was a good take on Luke. You know, I mean, Leia is my favorite character, so it was this was everything I could have hoped for.
I wonder if they worked together too. Like how cool it would be to be like standing next to Mark Hamill, him delivering.
I know.
His
I was
line.
thinking. I was
like,
thinking
whoa.
that too. Yeah,
it's so cool to be doing that.
I know. I had that same thought because like she's playing Leia opposite Mark Hamill. I mean, that's you know.
That's a big deal, man.
It is a big deal. Yeah.
You're on the A team.
Yeah. That's true.
You're not on the it's not on the B team. You're the A team. So, but this one was great. It was the they had the ingenuity, right? Oh, we got to reset trap.
I just think a show like this, I'm not really sure what you do with it. Because like to just like click play all on Disney Plus or something, like that's not really fun. You know, to like watch 90 seconds and then like, you know, 40 seconds of commercials and then another 90-second episode or something. So I don't know. Like, I guess maybe you would just be watching these as like a quick little video on YouTube is the way that makes the most sense. I don't know. You know, so I don't really know what they were.
This was between sequels, right?
2017. So
okay,
I guess it was between Force Awakens and The Last Jedi was the first season.
Yep, Force Awakens and The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
Yep.
That makes sense. A lot of crazy things happened in between the Force Awakens and
maybe they're just trying something out. Like, let's just give them a taste of something, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I feel like they were trying to kind of push the Star Wars YouTube channel as well. And I think, you know, the Force Awakens was like the first Disney Star Wars thing. And clearly they wanted to like, you know, expand this into, you know, they wanted to get their money back basically. So maybe this was just kind of like dipping their toe into like, yeah, we have the property now, so let it ride. And maybe that's what it was.
Let's do it. They do. They still do the shorts, right? I mean, they do those little not the young Jedi, but they do those other little.
No, they do.
Shorts.
There are some young Jedi shorts that they're still doing.
Oh, there are. Okay, yeah.
So I guess so. I guess that's it. But overall, I mean, I enjoyed the ones we've watched, and I have watched several other ones over the years, and I liked that audiobook on Libby. So, you know, a nice, fun little thing. Let's talk about things that we didn't like. So let's hit our Oak of Arc moment. Hit me.
Okay. The thing that really annoyed me, Leia knows Ewokese, or the Ewok language.
Yeah, she does seem to just communicate with them.
And it's like, this is supposed to be after the Return of the Jedi, after the Battle of Endor. It's like, I don't know, maybe been a week. And she's like fluent in Ewok.
She's a quick study. Yeah, C-3PO was like, all right, the past perfect tense of Ewokese.
They have the same word for bathroom as tree.
You might not want to touch any trees.
Yeah, that to me was very jarring.
Yeah.
I don't know. What about you?
Well, so we actually see Wicket present Leia with the dress. And, you know, that's always kind of one of those jokes, like, why did the Ewoks have a human-sized dress laying around? Like, is it from somebody they killed? Did they just have, like, Ewok seamstresses making things? Like, we don't know. And so I thought, like, if you're going to try to explain that in this, then explain it. But
Yeah.
they give no explanation. They just have a wrapped package with the dress in it and give it to her. So I was like, well, one or the other. Either don't do it or explain why they have a human-sized dress. But
The burning question that nobody really cared to know the answer to.
Right.
The answer to. You're like, oh, thank God! Now I know where the dress. Well, now we still don't know where the dress came from, but we know now that Wicket presented it to her like 5 seconds after getting to Braintree Village.
That's right. That is right.
And the question is too, like Leia walks into the village, and it's like, all right, cool, Leia, here's some gifts. But then Luke, Han, Chewie, they come in, and it's we got to cook them. Yep, we got to cook them and feed them to the one that looks just like it too. It won't be insulted because it already took our dress. Yeah, so like, I just think like, what if that dress was literally just like the funeral garb for her?
Just
Here, put this on, and she's like, "Wow, it's so pretty." And they're like, "Oh, she's gonna taste so good with that burlap on." I can't wait.
That's how you lock in all the juices. You know what I mean? You need that.
Chimichanga or whatever. God, what's the one where you wrap in corn? I can't even remember.
Tamales.
Tamale, that's it. She's just a tamale. Yeah.
What about your Ichiwawa moment?
Oh, for me, it was all the recognizable voices. Just like that was like, whoa, that's like that's the voice. You know, that was Hera. I thought that was great. It's funny that this is this guy's first appearance as Han because I thought his Han voice was spot on. That was like, it was all the recognizable voices, but especially Han. And I was like, that's not even Han, but he does so well. As far as all the people who were new voices, he nailed it. Just absolutely nailed it.
Yep, agreed.
The other thing that I wanted to point out was the Gorax. How it was interesting that Luke didn't just outright kill the Gorax. He could have, like, whoa, this thing's gonna kill us, you know. But he decided not to.
I noticed that too, and it made me think about the book we just read, The Adventures of Tebow, where they just like let the dude die. Remember, they just like knocked the guy off the edge, and they're like, you know.
He's probably going to land in the river. Splat.
None
of
us really liked him anyway.
Right.
So
moving on.
The Gorak actually did land in the river, unlike Ugg or whatever his name was, who just he died. So
he died.
You know.
Yeah, and I just thought like that was. I don't know if that was like a Jedi thing, like to not kill it, but it seemed like he
kills the Rancor and all sorts of. I don't think he cares.
Kill Rancor, but I don't know. It was interesting to me that he didn't, you know, especially since like, you know, the Ewok contraptions, none of them are really designed to kill the Gorax, just meant to get it out of there, you know. So, but what about you? What was your Ichiwawa moment?
Oh, well, you know, my love for Leia is you know, it knows no bounds. And I always love in the books, like I think we talked a little bit about the Dark Nest trilogy and things like that, where Leia is like embracing her Jedi-ness. So I loved that it was a Luke and Leia team up, like no Han, nobody else, just the Sibs having a good time with the Ewoks. And when it comes down to release the Ewok trap, and it was, you know, the big like tree trunks that were coming down to kind of smash together, she couldn't cut it, and Luke tosses a lightsaber, so like Leia uses a lightsaber. And I thought that was very cool to see like that era of Leia like wielding a lightsaber, because it's a thing you never see.
Yeah, they spotlight it too. He's like,
they do.
You better give me that back. You know, like, you know, it was something like, I can't even remember what it was. It was something like that. And I was like, oh, they made that real obvious. That was good.
Leia using a lightsaber to set loose an Ewok trap. I mean, come on. It's like it was written for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, all I needed
was a glider.
Yes, that's exactly what I was going to say. That's exactly what you hear, the snap hiss of a lightsaber, and then the glider wings pop out, and Leia just like takes off, charging forward. Yeah.
Oh man, that would have been epic. It would have been epic.
That is what I needed. Yeah. How many yub nubs for these little cuties?
I'd give it a solid 4. I enjoyed them. I think it's funny, like there's really not a whole lot to dislike. Yeah. Because you just have to accept you're only getting an appetizer, and that's it. Like 2 shrimps, and that's it. And you gotta walk around for another half an hour. You know,
Yes.
so it's like you're just getting a little snippet, and there's not a lot to hate. Some of them I think were weaker than others, but they all were like, oh, that was kind of funny. And so I think it's a solid 4 for me. You know, I'm not going to give
Yeah.
it any higher than that because I don't think it deserves it, but I don't think they were bad. I thought they were fun. They were just fun.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
I'm right there with you. I mean, I think they work. The voices are great. I like the look
yeah.
of it. You know, it's pretty basic animation,
Mhm.
but color and character designs, I really don't have any complaints about. And it showed me some fun things. The Rebels
Yeah.
crew teaming up with Ewoks, the Luke Leia team up. Yeah, good times.
They did good with the music and the sound.
Yeah, we got a little bit. It was like the Han and Leia theme that was coming in at the end of the last
Yeah.
one, but I love that music so much.
Yeah.
Hearing that was a good
So
time.
good. What were you saying about the audiobook?
Oh, just that I would recommend that too.
Okay.
It's just called Forces of Destiny, and it's not long. I think the whole audiobook is maybe 2.5 hours or something. But it's fun. It's just, it's just like this, but like I said, it kind of gathers together the like stories and makes them a little bit more of a narrative. So it's like, here's a section on Jyn Erso, here's a section on Leia, here's,
Right.
whatever it is. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's
because
fun.
it segments them. They're all like, it'll be like episode 1 and 7 and
Yeah.
like 11 have to do with each other, kind of thing.
Yeah,
So,
and they cover all
which is fun,
eras.
yeah.
They cover all eras of
All of
Star
them,
Wars, too,
yeah.
which is pretty cool. So, speaking of all eras, next time we are heading back to the prequel era for our annual Star Wars Day book club on the MedStar duology. These are by Michael Reeves and Steve Perry, and we will once again be joined by special guest Amanda Smith from the David A. Howe Public Library to share a little bit of library and Star Wars expertise with us. So, it wouldn't be Star Wars Day without Amanda.
It wouldn't. Absolutely,
we have to have her. Yeah,
So,
she has to be here,
yeah.
and she's all too ready. And I have to tell you, my hold did come in for book 2 on audio, so I'm all set.
Oh, it did release it to you.
Yeah, I got it. And this should be an interesting discussion because you've only done the abridged audiobooks.
Yeah.
Amanda has only done the books, and I've done both because I read them the first time and I listened to the abridged audios this time. So we're all going to have different perspectives on these books.
I'm ready to complain about things and then be wrong.
Yeah.
And have that feeling
we'll
that
be
like, oh, they totally messed up on this. Yeah.
Idiot.
Well, that was in the book, Steve. Like, all right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Destroy my whole narrative.
That's right. So if you want to read along with us, there are abridged audiobooks out there. You can get your hands on the regular book, but we are going to be talking about those on May the 4th for Star Wars Day.
Ooh, may the 4th be with you.
I hope so. All right, I'll see you then.
I'll see you then. This Endorian Life was brought to you by the Radio Meanwhile Network. Be sure to check out some of the other shows on the network like 9021 Here We Go or previously on X-Men. Please rate, subscribe, and share the show wherever you get your podcasts.